the highlight of our trip was going through the Panama Canal, a 48-mile waterway connecting the Atlantic to the Pacific. It was a gorgeous sight to see, with a variety of weather as we were transporting from one end to the other. We passed through 3 locks: Miraflores locks, Pedro Miguel locks, and Gatun locks. And it was fascinating to watch this process. Mere inches on either side of a ship required that the ships be actually kind of pulled through the locks as opposed to powering on their own, because if a ship hit a lock and broke the gates, it would cause catastrophic flooding to the land down below. So it required what was called mules or mulas, 4 little train cars, 2 at the bow, 2 at the stern, that literally guided and pulled the ships through the locks. Each lock requires over 26 million gallons of water to fill, so you can understand why, if the lock failed, that amount of water gushing forward would be a problem. The gates are huge and strong, but only powered by 40 horsepower engines. Not very big for all the work that they do. We could see on the side of our ship and on a variety of other ships that there were a few little scrapes. Maybe they got too close to the edge. It was an important job to run those mules. From what I understand, the cost of going through the canal for our ship was $330,000. The best money spent, though, was on the cabana. As the weather changed from rain to sunshine, we could sit, enjoy, and stitch and watch the life go by on the canal. In 2016, they expanded the canal to allow larger cargo ships, and that year, the first cargo ship through paid $829,000 plus to transport, and that is still cheaper than going around Cape Horn in the tip of South America. There were a few homes or estates along the way. They patrol the area quite well because, after all, it is important to maritime consumer and political control. And it was a great day spent, even with the rain. Although the canal is a man-made 48-mile waterway connecting the Atlantic to the Pacific, the ships get lifted 85 feet above sea level and then lowered back down on the Pacific side. When France began work in 1881, they had to stop because of the high worker mortality rate because of like malaria or injuries, and then they had some engineering problems. And you can see by the lush greenery that there is a lot of mosquitoes in this area. At certain points, the canal was so narrow that you could actually hear people yelling from the shore, and we passed one looked like a prison or a jail area where the guys were yelling at us from their recreation yard, if that's what you'd call it. When the U.S. took over in 1904, they were able to open the canal by 1914. Once you reach the artificially made Ganton Lake, that at one point was a valley, and so when they brought the water in, it created a series of islands that used to be mountaintops. When the Bridge of the Americas was built, that was to connect Colón to Panama so that people weren't cut off by the construction of the canal. But even with the expanded new canal area, the largest ships in the world, such as the Oasis of the Sea, cannot pass through that canal because they cannot, even at low tide, make it under the Bridges of Americas. And the Bridge of Americas is the key part of the Pan-American Highway. This truly was a fascinating process to watch. And there were grandstands where people would drive down there and sit and watch the ships come through. High entertainment for a day of travel. Definitely a bucket list item, traveling through the Panama Canal to see this feat of mankind. As we leave the Panama Canal, we see Panama City in the distance. And we are again reminded how we truly had no idea at what this country looked like. In my mind, it's still a country of small towns and villages, when in fact, this is a major city involved in the transportation of goods from one side of the world to the other. And to remember that over 5,000 people died building this canal.